Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. This is a watch launched in the mid-2010s from Urban Jurgensen. This company, with Danish roots, nevertheless is Swiss and recently acquired by Kari Voutilainen, has a bright future. He's been involved long-term in the brand, including elements as disparate as aesthetics and engineering. And so this is a company on the rise. This is a great way to get into Urban Jurgensen. And as you can see, it's the classical look with clear influence of Voutilainen in the case as well as the lugs. Model 1142L, 42 millimeters in diameter in rose gold, 11.9 millimeters thick and from lug tip to lug tip. You can see 49.2 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now you can see these watches, they are substantial. Although classically styled, it fills up the wrist. That said, the lugs are so dramatically downturned and tapered that I could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference and still feel like I'm getting a good fit and a handsome aesthetic match. It's also a relatively thin watch. Objectively, 11.9 millimeters isn't that thick, but you can see there's a concave bezel, there's a stepped and sloped case flank, so it will slide easily underneath the cuff. And you can really see from this angle how these sort of claw or even corne de vache style lugs wrap around the wrist for good ergonomics. The strap is a large rectangular scale alligator leather in matte black. It's got a rather narrow folded edge with a monotone stitch, calfskin on the bottom. You can see this is a handmade Parisian cut Jean Rousseau factory strap. We often put these on watches because we love them. This is the OEM strap supplier to FP Journe, for example. And we have this lovely Urban Jurgensen rose gold pin buckle that has a handsome, undulating, almost biomorphic, maybe even molten metal-like look to it. And you can see that's echoed in the shape of the lugs. Now, these are welded lugs. This is a case made the old-fashioned, laborious way, with the case crafted separately from the lugs, and then the lugs are inserted into slots in the case flank, welded on, and all evidence of the welded joint is removed to ensure this super clean break between the surfaces. Now, there's a lot of complexity to this case band. You can see several different flanges and curvatures, and the result is that we have this sort of stacked profile that allows a dress cuff to slide up over the side. We also have a concave bezel that helps to visually thin the watch, and because the case back is set back somewhat, you can see when it's on the wrist, it actually looks thinner than it is, so aesthetically quite pleasing. The dial, well, this is real rose lathe guilloche. We have a cross hatching for the small seconds, and then we have what could be described as a sort of fish scale design for the center with brushed hour track and distinct steps between center dial, outer dial, and small seconds. The hands are actually built up from parts. For example, if you look carefully, you could see that we have a blued steel hand for the hour, and then on top of that blued hand, this micro-finished rose gold eyelet has been inserted. You could see that there's blued steel underneath it. It's been inserted and pinned together. So these hands are actually micro sub-assemblies, and they are beautifully finished. Between the polishing, the faceting, and the heating, you get a wonderful tonal contrast. And it's an easy watch to read as we have these hands against a silver-white base. The contrast level is high. Now you can see that we also have a set of radially arrayed Roman numerals with a railroad track minutes display outboard of that. There is a watchmaker's 4. This is vintage style, so you can see that at first glance it appears that the crown isn't signed, though if you look carefully you can see that it is actually signed. The idea is to look classical, where, in antiquity, mid-20th century, you would not have had a signed crown. Well, you get that look from an arm's length, but when you get closer, you can actually see the Urban Jurgensen logo. Flip it upside down. We've got a lovely movement with rayonnant design, so a Côte de Soleil or sunburst stripe. It is a twin-barrel, manual wind, 72-hour power reserve movement, beating away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It is adjusted chronometer style in 5 positions, all this pivoting on 25 joules. And it is a twin-barrel movement, so it has the even torque release that comes with 2 barrels. And so that means there's a much flatter torque curve. So between maximum wind and minimum wind, you're going to have a more consistent balance amplitude and force to the escapement, which augurs well for timekeeping. We also have a full balance balance bridge with a free-sprung balance architecture for shock tolerance and durability. This architecture is very similar to the one used in the Urban Jurgensen 1 sports watch. Now you can see that we have bevels on the edge of the bridges. We also have the Côte de Soleil across the primary bridge structures. We have engine-turned perlage on the base plate. All screw heads are black polished. We've also got a black polished click, and then you can see that the jewel and screw sinks have also been sort of partridge eye polished, which is a lovely internal beveling. It's a good looking movement that fills out the case back, and again with 2 barrels and a 72-hour power reserve, it has a lot of modern standards. It also features a hacking or stop seconds function, so you can set this watch precisely to a known accurate reference time, and then all of this is water resistant down to 30 meters. A brand on the rise, so says Kari Voutilainen, and this is due to become his second house brand, and it's going places. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.